Let's chat about it.
Yeah.
The new song and the new remixes as well, which I listened through all of those as well. It's all right. We played it a couple of nights ago here on this radio station, Greatest Hits 98.1, on our latest from the Greatest, and was listening through the remixes. Well, first off, how'd you come up with a song?
Well, I'm a songwriter, so songwriters write songs.
Right.
This particular song, I knew that we had to have another record out. I always go through different iterations of the group, Club Nouveau. I've had 5 or 6 different male singers with us, but primarily it was Valerie and I. But this was the first time that Valerie's not with me. So we were together for 36 years, 35, 36. And then Val started, she's going in another musical direction. And so I needed so now I have a new girl and a new guy, and I got to put their voices on something. So I started working, me and Derek D.O.A. Allen, we write and produce together, started working on a song. And really, we went back to the original concept of Club Nouveau and just started dissecting it and saying, we want to strip down the production, keep it as simple as possible, and make it beat heavy and work on a great melody and a great hook. And we just started really tooling it. We didn't like the tempo. It was a little slow. So we sped the tempo up, added the guitar, and then, and I really crafted the melody to be what I thought would be catchy. How should you express it when you love someone? Something that you could sing along to. And really tried to make it where it got faster and faster. So the melodies change from one verse to the next. So I say, how should you express it when you love someone? So I'm behind the beat. When Tears comes in, should you just walk away? Live to learn another day. She's on top of the beat. And then when we do, if you decide that you're going to stay, Jay Ali is the head of the beat. So it really gives it like it's picking up speed along the way. And I thought each part of it was catchy enough that people would like it. And then, you put it together, you craft it, you mix it. And if you did a good job, like making a cake, if you put all the ingredients right, it's good. If, you don't want it to be too dry, you don't want it to be too sweet.
What were you looking for with both of them when they brought them into the group? What were you looking for, something in particular with, again, to take Val's role, find another singer?
Well, first of all, I knew nobody could take Val's role. Val is iconic with Club Nouveau. What made Val special is she had her own thing. She had her own style. Nobody sounded like Val. So when Tirza, what I loved about her was she had her own sound. She didn't sound like anybody else, but I didn't want her to try to sound like Val. I wanted her to sound like Tirza, but understanding that Val had laid a foundation for her. And I think she did that great. Jay Ali is, for me, hands down, the best male vocalist I've ever had. He can do a lot of things. And he's very soulful. And I need that grit. Where Sam is kind of poppy sounding, Jay Ali is gritty and soulful sounding. Where Curve was sweet, and he had range, but he didn't have the same kind of grit. I really was looking for grit on this version of what I'm doing. And you'll hear it in the preceding songs that we do.
Okay. I was listening to one of the other interviews you've been doing over the past couple of years or so, and I can't remember which one, but you're talking about the essence of Club Nouveau going back to starting out the group back circa 1986 or so, and that fulcrum between the newer sound of the time, more beat oriented, than the older sound, more melodic. And I'm distilling it, I know, but it was something to that effect. I remember what you were saying. So I presume that's still the focus even to this day, from 86 to 24. that's still what, how do you describe the essence of Club Nouveau today?
You know, Club Nouveau is, you know, the interesting thing, Club Nouveau translate as new club. And that's what you always want to be. You always want to be, you know, you want to be who you are, but always with a new twist. The world changes. I mean, we know that cars we drive today aren't the same car we drove 20 years ago. We have electric vehicles now. So just imagine the vehicle that we drive today was like what they drove in the 1900s, early 1900s, the Model T or the Duesenberg. You know, how would they perform on these roads today? You know, they wouldn't be very efficient. It's the same in music. You have to, you know, the musical landscape is changing. You want to keep the essence of the honesty of the music, the vibration, the blood of the music, but you also have to adhere to the rules of today. Today, a song can't be longer than 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So that's why we don't have a rap in the radio version, because music doesn't allow for it. Music does not allow for B sections. It doesn't allow for it. And so you have to change. And so um, being current and true to the sound are the two things that you work to do.
You mentioned the radio version, then there's a Chub Rock version, then there are the extended mixes. There are the 4 mixes that I was listening to.
There's
today.
really, believe it or not, there's really 11 mixes. You've only heard those 4. That's right. That's 11. That's other rappers and that are on it. I got a version with DJ Quick that I haven't even mixed.
Wow, cool. Well, okay, we'll start with the ones that are out right now. How did you, or who's on extended mixes 1 and 2? And I know I think they reference them. I'm blanking. So you describe, how did you get everyone on the ones that, at least as of February 9th,
So
are out right now?
what we did was we took the different rappers that were on different versions of the song, and then we just edited them in and just went, if you decide that you're going to stay, if you decide just to walk away, I'm going to love on you anyway. It's all right. And then we inserted the rap in. So, you know, and those are the different rappers that rapped on a different version. But we have versions of the song with them. We have a version where we trade off vocals. I sing one part of the verse, Tears It Comes, Jay comes, and it's back to back. So there's different. What we want to do is keep you as interested in the song for as long as we possibly can, and so you'll get different versions at different times for different reasons.
Why Chub Rock for that, for the other, I guess it's not the extended, but the one with rap, or however you would officially call it.
Right.
How'd you get him on this?
Well, Chubb did a song with us called "Let's Have a Party," and you know, I don't like cursing on records. And Chubb is a clean rapper. You know, he's still relevant and, you know, from a voice standpoint. And I just thought it would be cool to have him. I called him and he said yes. I sent it to him. He put the rap on, and it was that easy.
Simple as that. Who'd y'all get
Yeah.
for the I was watching the video. Who's all in doing all the dancing, doing the dance lines? Who'd y'all get for that video in November?
Those people that are friends, fans, family. Our road managers in there. So I mean, you know, people that work for me are in there. People that know me, and there's a homeless guy in there. He was just walking. The alley that we shot in was his alley. That's where he stayed, and so we paid him $40, and he came home while we were there in his alley, and we told him we were doing a video. Said, "You want to be in it?" And he said, "Sure." He's the last guy at the end. He's the very last guy, and we paid him $40 and said, "Hey, thank you for letting us use your house."
Very cool. Very cool. Are you planning to do any videos for any of the remixes, any reshoots or anything, or is that the video? It's gonna go for the song?
No, I mean, you know, we have another video that we did, another version of the video, but if the record continues to move and go up the charts, then we'll add the assets to it that will allow it to continue to grow.
Are you planning an album, EP, just singles released? What's the rollout of new music going forward the next few months or years?
Probably the first 3 or 4 things we release will be singles, and then we will release the album.
Okay.
Because of the world we live in a very singles-driven world, and because of the kind of group we are, we have hit records already. So I just need to release singles for folk like you to play them and say, "Hey, Club Nouveau is really, this is a great record." We didn't, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't just make a record to say we have a new record out, but that we had a significant record out, a record that actually that you hear and say, "Man, I like this record. This is a hit record. This is not just an old school record. This record competes," and that's what we're hoping. That's the kind of music we're making.
So, when do you know when you're writing a song when you've got something that's worthy of putting out like that? Like, how many songs do you go through before you got it, or how much workshopping do you do?
That's funny that you asked that, because I was working on 6 songs at the same time, and this was the song. This was the one that came. This was the one that started to develop better. I got another piece of music that I'm working on right now that I think it's gonna be a good song, but I gotta find the right melody. I gotta find the right hook. I gotta find the right cadence, the right tone. So when the music, I think the music is there, and then I gotta find everything to go with it, because when you find the right musical piece, the right rhythm. If you don't find the right melody to put on top of it, the music don't mean nothing. It sucks, because people hear songs in their entirety. They hear the musical part of it, they hear the lyrical part of it, they hear the vocal part of it, they hear the lyrical part of it, and it's all connected. And if you miss someplace, so I'm writing all the time, and sometimes, like, even it's all right. It took me a couple of months to write it, not because of such a complicated song. It's just the melody, because I'm 62. I'm not 22. So, I'm 38 in a business of 4-year-olds. You know what I mean? Club Nouveau is 38 years old. These artists out here 4 or 5 years old, that they're the sound. So how do I make that connection? How do I relate? So it's not natural. You gotta really do the work to figure it all out.
Are there any artists influencing you more of late, whether they're current or you're discovering something old? What are there any influences right now?
Yeah, Lucky Day, Anderson .Paak, Snow Allegra, Giveon, Yetta. Yes, I love some. There's some October London. I'm loving these, and I don't know if they're influencing more than they are encouraging me to know that music, real songs can still live, that if you write the right song, you do it the right way, if you're honest in your interpretation of the song. And that's another thing. You have to stay honest in the interpretation. You can't let technology be the driver. It can assist in the driving, but you have to be the driver. Real emotion, real a lyric, real music have to be the driver.
How would you say your production and or your songwriting have changed? I mean, let's go back to, most people are gonna obviously lean on me, but going back to that era, how has it changed over 38 years from the genesis of Club Nouveau?
Well, in the beginning, you don't know stuff, and you don't know, and because you don't know, your production is based on the fact that you don't know. So my productions in the beginning were very sparse because I don't know. But the more I learn, the more I take up, the more I get involved with music theory, the more I read, the more I'm around production, and you start to evolve. And sometimes you know too much. And I try, and so I had to start stripping it back down. I don't want to know so much. I don't want to make it where, in the world we live in now, you can have a song with 200 or 300 tracks on them because from the digital realm, it's endless. And so that's why you hear these records that are produced so intricate, and then you see the artist live can never produce that sound live without it being done in the box with computers, because that's how it was created. So I wanted to recognize and use the technology as it relates to recording. I don't have to worry about my mixes. I can save them now. Before, when I mixed a record, I had to do a buyout on the studio for 3 or 4 days. I had to leave the mix up because you couldn't take it down because you had to stripe the tape back over, all that stuff. None of that stuff matters anymore. So from that standpoint, I love it. You know, and it's changed. But as a songwriter and producer, I'm back to the old way because the old way is what these kids want. They're trying to get to what I did. I got to go back to what I did because that's what these kids are doing. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. You mentioned all the younger artists, you know, Anderson .Paak, et cetera, Giveon, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, what is the trend that you're seeing among people that are newer in? How I don't know that there's anything necessarily right or wrong with music. A lot of it is subjective. Our tastes are all over the place. But
Right.
like, does it seem to be more of like a just past couple year thing? What that I know there's a big thing for nostalgia right now of just in all sorts of genres. It's all over the place. So, like, does it seem to be picking up more and more, or how would you assess it among the current generation of those who are breaking out and starting to become stars right now?
Well, there used to be a clearinghouse for music, and that clearinghouse was radio. So if you wanted to hear a new song, you had to hear it 90% of the time, 85% of the time on radio. You might hear a new song in a club, in a mix, you know, somebody's house, but you were going to primarily hear a record at radio. And radio was the clearinghouse. Radio was that was the meter by which everything was measured. That's not today. There's no clearinghouse, so people find music everywhere, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, social media, radio, terrestrial, digital, podcasts. It's just a multitude of places to find and hear music. And what's interesting is I grew up listening to the Doobie Brothers, Bob Denver, uh, uh, Steely Dan, James Brown, Bootsy Collins, Al Green, Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, um, uh, uh, Miles Davis. I mean, I could listen to anything. So I knew all the music because there was a clearinghouse for music and it was called radio. Today, these kids, they only know the genre of music that they listen to because there's no clearinghouse. So Taylor Swift can have a gazillion fans and they love Taylor Swift and she loves them. But The whole world don't know Taylor Swift. The whole Swiftie world knows Taylor Swift. Now we know Taylor Swift's name, we don't know her music, but we knew we knew um, Peter Frampton. Frampton Comes Alive because we also heard the music because we knew because there was a clearinghouse. Beyonce has her own fan base. I mean, I'm talking about artists that have millions of people in their fan base, right? But everybody don't know who they are because there's no clearinghouse for them. So, you know, Anderson .Paak is a big star, but there's a lot of people who don't even know who he is. Music, so that's the plus and the minus of today, of technology. The plus is, Luke, you can decide that you want to make a record today. And tomorrow you can have it out on the internet. You can have it up through TuneCore or CD Baby, and people can buy it. And you could be out there. That's the beauty of it, that there's no rules, there's no regulations. Nobody can harness you down the way they could harness and control music. Now you're the owner of that master. Your record can go viral without any of the mechanisms that have been put in place to control music. You can be a wild stallion out there. So possibilities exist, as opposed to people telling you why it's impossible for anything to happen, for for something to go how you want. The impossible. You're open to every possibility. And that's the beauty of it. That's why I love the music business today. As a 62-year-old man, I can make a record, and if it's good enough, it's possible for me to compete.
I love your optimism about this. I do. There's understandable negativity, but it's good to hear that no, there is a way. There's a possibility. Seeing it right now with this new music from Club Nouveau, it's good to hear back again.
Well, you know why? You know why you hear that negativity? Because it's a lot of old dudes that aren't recognizing that they're getting old. Because when I did Rumors, you know what a lot of people said? That's not music. You ain't even using real musicians, because we did everything with drum machines and keyboards. There was no bass player to play the bass. There was no guitar player to play the guitar. It was just, there was no drummer. But that's what old people do. When change starts to happen, old people become fearful, and they poo-poo it, and they tell you everything wrong about it. And that's how you know they're old. I don't want to be old. I always want to be fresh and new, inventive. I always want to be ready for the possibility. I divorced myself from impossibilities many years ago. I am married to the possibility of possibilities.
So good words, good advice. I'm glad you're still doing this, and then we'll be looking forward to more coming out. It's all right. Club Nouveau,
Yeah.
Club Nouveau. It's great to hear. Jay, this has been a fun chat. I'm glad you did this, and looking forward to more music coming from you. And you've got all the projects you're doing, but even Club Nouveau music coming down the road. Thanks for taking the time today, and all the best going forward.
Thank you, sir.